Hey guys, ZFR back here again today, and this is going to be my review for Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Now, I've had the game for about a little over a week here, so I've got a pretty good idea of what it is and what to expect from it and what I just overall think about the game in general. Now, without taking too long, I just want to get straight into this here. So, pretty much, let's start off by talking about the story, because I feel like the story of the game is just something that really needs to be addressed up front, because it's something I really enjoyed. Now, first of all, let's talk about my favorite part about this story. Jacob and Evie Fry, the twin assassins. Now, these two are some really awesome characters in my opinion. In my opinion, they're probably the best characters the Assassin's Creed franchise has ever had. Like, the banter between them is just amazing in my opinion. Like, just when they're on the screen together, it's always comedic or whatever. It's just fun to watch and everything, and they both have their own different personalities, which caused them to clash as well. Like Jacob, like he's a little more headstrong and everything, you know. Of course, like he kind of like just rushes into the danger, and while Evie, she thinks things through a little more and is a little more careful and strategic about the way she does things. And then like overall, like, they just make one heck of a team. They are brother and sister, of course, so you know, it's just like, I mean, it's awesome in my opinion. Just their relationship and how they get along and everything, it's great to me. Now, in terms of gameplay, they aren't actually that different. Like, they're pretty much the same in terms of actual gameplay, except for 3 skills that they get that cater to their different play styles a little bit. Really, Evie has this one skill that just like takes her way towards stealth. Like, but Jacob, I feel like even though he's a pretty big tank, you can still play him pretty stealthily, and you could still play Evie pretty tanky, to be honest with you. Either way, their gameplay isn't that different, but it's still fun to play as them, because they are still really great characters in my opinion. Now, the story follows these two pretty much while they're working with another assassin named Henry Green, who you're seeing on screen now, and pretty much these 3 team up to pretty much take London back from the Templars. Now, at this time, it is set during the Victoria period, I believe it's called. I think it might have been Victorian, but who cares? But yeah, during this period, the Templars have taken over London, and Jacob and Evie are pretty much trying to take it back from them. But while Jacob is busy just doing it the old-fashioned way and taking the Templars out, Evie is trying to find something called the Piece of Eden, which has some kind of immense power that's going to like sift the table like greatly in one side's favor. You know, like it's just a really big deal to get this thing before the other side. So there's that whole thing tying into the story there. But that's enough about the story. Wait, before I move on from the story, my bad. The Templars themselves, great characters. I feel like a lot of them have a lot of good personality, although there are a few of them that don't get their time to shine on screen, that you end up killing them like the first time you see them. A few of them, I'm not going to say which ones, but there are some of the bigger ones that you're going to be facing off against that you're going to see multiple times throughout the game, and those ones, they have a build up to them before you assassinate them, and it feels really good when you finally hit that assassination target. That's something I felt like the old games did struggle with. I felt like there was no build up to some of the guys you assassinated, except for like the last 2 or 3 people. And Assassin's Creed Unity, they do a little bit better with it, but there's still a problem there with that. But moving on from the story now, let's talk about the graphics. The graphics in the game are pretty decent. They're about as good as they were in Unity. They're not bad, but they're not blow your socks off or anything. But they're pretty darn good in my opinion. Kind of impressive, to be honest. But now let's talk about the open world itself. London looks great in this game. There's a bunch of stuff going on, a bunch of different districts, poor, rich, all of that kind of stuff. You can really just tell, and like just the overall city itself looks so authentic and just so real, and it just seems amazing to me that they managed to do this, and it's just a ton of fun to go around and just tearing up the town with Jacob and fixing it with Evie. Like it's just a ton of fun to me. But yeah, moving on from that, the side missions in the game are great. Alright, the side missions, I really didn't have any problem with them, but I'm gonna warn you now, don't expect anything too like crazy good. There are going to be people now that are going to tell you that the side missions are repetitive, and I can't argue with that, because to be honest, they are really, like, they are the same type of side mission over and over again, besides the bigger ones. But if you're talking about just like running to it on the street side missions, most of the time what you'll find is child liberation, a bounty hunt, or a Templar hunt. So yeah, like each of them can play out in multiple ways, and you can do them different ways, and they're all really fun. But at the same time, I can see where some people might say that would get repetitive. But moving on from that, the gameplay and controls in the game. First, let's talk about the climbing. I think the climbing in the game is a lot better than it has been in the past. I really think it is. Mostly because of the rope launcher. Because of that rope launcher, you don't even have to climb as much. Like, really, the only time you're going to be climbing that much is when you're indoors, or when you're just in a place where you can't use the rope launcher. But you can use the rope launcher in most outdoor situations in the game to get the one point to where you're going up a building, or where you're just trying to zip line across the street. So that makes things a lot easier. Now moving on from that, moving on from the rope launcher, I wanted to also talk about the combat. The combat in the game, I feel, is really well done. Like it feels a lot more brutal, and like it's not my problem with it is I wish it could be a little more challenging at times, but then at times the challenge gets turned up when there's multiple enemies coming at you and everything. Like, that's one thing I do wish the game had, is a difficulty setting. Like, people have been asking for that for a while, and I think it is something that this series could use. But one thing I also want to mention is the guns. Like, as you just saw Jacob and Evie get their first gun there, and pretty much that's a big deal, because in this game, guys, like, guns, it's like modern day almost. Guns like, there's revolvers, freak. Like, it's not like in the past Assassin's Creed where a gun can hold like what, 1 or 2 shots, or even Black Flag where you would have like 4 pistols on you at once that hold 1 shot each. Like, now you have a modern day revolver, pretty much like pretty much the kind of revolver you could find still around, to be honest. Like 6 shots in the chamber, fast to reload, and now that might worry some people, but the gameplay is still Assassin's Creed. You're still using your blades, your cane sword, your brass knuckles, which are awesome. All of those new weapons, amazing in my opinion. You're still using your assassin, I forget what you call it, your assassin blade and everything. All of that's still there, so don't worry about that. But moving on from the combat, which if you didn't catch it, I thought was great. I want to talk about the horses, the horse-drawn characters. Like, I think this was a really good addition into the game. Like, because of this, like, you can get around the city a lot faster. It's a lot easier, and they're pretty easy to control, to be honest with you. And they're a lot of fun to drive, if I do say so myself. I also love the carrots chases in the game. Like, they're really awesome. Just being able to ram the other carrots off the road and everything. It's a lot of fun to me. I think that was a great addition to the game. I hope they do something like it in future Assassin's Creeds. Assassin's Creed. I don't know. I got tongue tied there. There are also one thing I also wanted to talk about. I almost forgot to cover this when I was talking about the climbing. You can finally climb through windows. Thank goodness. Finally. Like, I mean, it took them long enough. But yeah, pretty much now you can just get near a window, press one button, and boom, you're in the window. So hats off to you, Ubisoft, for finally fixing that bug. Thank goodness. Now, moving on from that, there aren't really that many problems that I haven't already mentioned. Like, to be honest with you, the game is pretty much on a technical level. Let me just say this: anybody who is worried about this being like Unity, don't worry. This game is solid. There are no huge glitches or anything like that in this game. This game stays at a solid frame rate. I have no idea what frame rate this is running at. I'm not sure if it's 60 or 30 frames, but it's probably 30, right? Probably. But yeah, like frame rate, all that kind of stuff, it's all good. Don't worry about it. It's solid. So there's no need to worry about any of that. And the fun factor in this game, like, it's fun. All right, the gameplay is fun. Like, I love pulling off one of the big assassinations with stealth. For those of you who watch my walkthroughs, you know I always try to go for that unique kill during the big assassinations. I think that's a lot of fun, and I just love doing things like maybe a little more of the complicated way, but at the same time the more challenging way, which tends to be stealth most of the time. So yeah, guys, anyway, that's really all for now. That's all I have to say about the game. Oh, and one more thing. I have to mention this. Doesn't really have anything to do with the actual review of the game. Well, it kind of does. But I just want to mention, because I am calling out IGN and GameSpot right now for this. Because I'm not going to lie, they kind of over-exaggerated this in their reviews. Now, both of those websites, they totally said the ending of the game was god awful. I mean, they were saying the ending of this game is awful. I'm telling you right now, don't believe it. I think I know what they're talking about, but I think they were talking about the way the modern day story in the game ends, the modern day stuff. Like, there's something there. I'm not going to talk about that because it's kind of spoilers. First of all, the way the modern day story ended wasn't even that bad. All right, it wasn't. It really wasn't. It was just like a tie to the next game, if you ask me, or to future games. Just kind of showing where the series is kind of going, and it added a little more story, in my opinion, to the modern day stuff. It actually made it feel meaningful. The modern day story in this game, I actually did like it, by the way. I feel like they actually did a little bit of a better job with it. The only thing is, I wish that what we saw with the modern day story, I wish we got to get hands on with that instead of watch it. But I'm not going to talk any more about that. But the ending to the actual story with Jacob and Evie, the ending to Jacob and Evie's story, let me just say, I thought that ended really good. I loved the ending to the game. It was a nice, clean cut ending, in my opinion. Like, it was fine. All right. Don't listen to IGN and GameSpot. Not to make them look bad or anything, but I felt like they spread false information there. Like, they made it sound like that the ending of the game was god awful, like unbelievably awful. They lied. I'm just telling the truth. But anyway, guys, my final review score for Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Oh, I forgot to talk about crafting and all that, but I see on the screen now, but no need to worry about that. That's all there. It's not as big as it was in Unity, but it's there, and skill upgrades and everything. Lots of cool stuff there. That's all fine. I don't even need to go over that. Like, you guys probably know what to expect by now. But anyway, getting into the actual review score of the game that I'm going to give, the score that I'm going to give the game. I'm going to go ahead and give Assassin's Creed Syndicate a 9.5. And I know it might shock a lot of people, but for me, this was just one of the better Assassin's Creed games. Like, I honestly do think it was a really good game. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't flawless, it wasn't perfect, it still had a few problems here and there, I guess, but to be honest, overall it was a really solid game, and I definitely do think it was a underdog like I thought it was going to be. But anyway guys, that's all I'm going to say for now. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Don't forget to leave likes, comments, and stuff down below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, guys. We are currently at 39 subscribers, and it's driving me crazy not hitting that 40 mark. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's driving me crazy with it being so at 39. Like, we're so close to 40. I don't know why, but anyway guys, that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys on the next one. ZFR out, guys.